Hello, hello. Welcome to the Book Asylum podcast. I am JL Falk, and with me today I have Wendy Durison, and she is the editor to the stars. I will have you know.
Like you.
Yeah, I wish I was that big. The only thing getting big around here is my ass.
I wouldn't know. I'm not there to look at it.
Trust me when I say this.
Okay, I will. I'll take that one on trust.
We today are talking to Wendy because we have decided to go with an editor's point of view today. We had her on what is it, been like a month, maybe more ago. We had you on with a couple other editors, and
Yeah.
you guys had the most amazing information. So I wanted to get you back on, and maybe that way we could talk and give people some insight, those that are maybe looking into getting into authorship, um, or maybe those who are looking to be an editor. you know just give us some points, some tips. I'll ask questions along the way. Pretty much, how did you decide, what made you decide to get into editing?
Badly written books.
I know, right? It's
Okay.
annoying.
Maybe I should narrow that down a bit. Published badly written books. Um, I'm not
Simple
against.
grammatical errors are just, they become, I can't read this very quickly.
Yes. Pay attention in English classes.
Mm, yes.
I don't know when they start teaching things like grammar. I know they're teaching spelling as early as the first grade.
Hmm.
My granddaughter, who's getting ready to leave second grade, and she can read. She can read pretty good too, to be 8 years old. And pay attention in class to spelling. Pay attention in class to grammar. Learn to speak correctly and enunciate your words. Don't slur. I know when you're at home, when you're with your friends, talk however you want to. That doesn't bother me because I don't speak properly when I'm around my sisters, my husband, my
Right.
kid, because every family has a shorthand that they use.
Hmm.
So learn to pay attention in classes. Um, I on my Facebook page, Wendy Durison editor. Um, I put little articles, little my pet peeves, little things to help
Yes.
writers along. In fact, I'm working on one right now. Um, just a kind of a thumbnail, or just something to keep in mind when you're doing your book, when you're reading back over it and you're editing it. You and I talked several days ago about self-editing and reading over what you've written. You know what you want to say.
Yep.
You think you've written it. So when you read back over it,
It's
even though
there.
it's not there, that's what you see, or that's what you think
Yes.
you've written. But it's always good to have maybe not somebody check over it for spelling errors or whatever, but just to kind
Proofreading.
of like read it and say, hey, what do you mean right here? Or
Yes.
the words, you left some words out of this sentence.
Yeah.
Or these words, these are just words.
Yeah. This whole
This
sentence
doesn't make sense. What is
doesn't make sense.
this? You know?
Yes. I'm so confused by this. And I've read, and I understand that sometimes it is it's like the voice, or the way the conversation, the dialogue is going.
Mhm.
Sometimes it makes sense to you. This is why you don't self-edit. It's fine if you're checking for grammar, quick stuff, quick spellings, because your spell check isn't always going to get it. But if you want to deep dive, make sure that you're doing everything right. You need to get an editor. You need an editor.
Yes.
That is not
Before
yourself.
But before you send it to the editor,
Oh, please, God.
when you're getting all the pages in order and getting everything going, get another set of eyes in there to look at. Someone likes to read. Say, look, I read this and I trust you. Would you take a look at it and see if I missed anything, if you don't understand something, if I need to explain something better? Just kind of give me a heads up or whatever.
Right.
Those are proofreaders. You also have beta readers who, when everything is finished, sometimes before, sometimes after it's edited, depending on the author, I would suggest before it's edited. They go in there, they look, they make sure, they say, hey, on this page, or they'll, copy and paste onto another page. You got this wrong. You did this wrong. I see here.
Mm-hmm.
You left out this. You need to explain that. If you're going to leave this word in a different language, explain what it means, because I don't read Czechoslovakian or Russian or Japanese. If you're going to have it in the original language, explain what that means. Tell me what you're saying.
Even just English, like British English versus American English, completely different.
Right.
You and I were talking about, I came across the word hold all. Hold all is just a bag. Why didn't you just use bag? But I believe this person is from the United Kingdom. So, of course, hold all is what they use for bag. So, I was just like, it just, I guess a lot of questions that I have for you are going to be, how do you um handle, and I must say, first of all, Wendy's my editor, and I absolutely love her. I love her to death. She is so thorough and she does a very good job. I'm very, very happy with you as an editor. But
Thank you.
you have, there's some things where sometimes you're trying to explain something to someone and they're not getting it, or they don't want to change. How do you handle that as an editor? You're like, no, this has to change. And they're like, no, I don't want it to.
Well, if we've gone 3 rounds and you haven't changed your mind, I will bring in the publisher.
Yeah.
I'll say, okay, I've explained it. I've explained it. I've explained it. For whatever reason, it's not communicating. It hasn't clicked or whatever. I need you to help me explain to this person what I'm trying to do here. They know I'm an editor and stuff. But sometimes they're so stuck in one place, what they're wanting to say, the words they're wanting to use, that they don't think about maybe the reader. Because I read a lot. I've always read a lot. I think last year I looked and I had read 200 some odd books last year.
Holy crap.
Well,
that's a lot.
I wasn't editing then. This year I've read maybe 6 in my
free time. I'm about there.
Yeah, because I just don't have the free time I did before. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I have been, well, I'm not a stay-at-home mom anymore because my kids are gone, but I'm a stay-at-home wife, and I had lots of time to read. So I've read a lot of books and a lot of genres. I've read nonfiction. I've read fiction. I do not read textbooks. I do not read dictionaries. I do not read manuals.
Jeez.
I mean,
have you ever had to edit any of those yet?
Thank God, not yet.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
But it can come to a point where you're not understanding what I'm trying to say. I'm not getting where you're going with this. So we need to have somebody come in and say, hey, look, okay, you two, we've got to talk about it. And sometimes you just have to give to the writer what they want. And if it flies, it flies. And if it doesn't, we can go back and change it later.
But you're an editor, so you're sitting here, you're trying to do what's best for the book, what's best for them, what's going to make them successful.
Right.
And that's what I always assumed, was the whole role of the editor. So how do you, I guess, when you open up a new document, because
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure, you get it on the computer, you look at it. Do you read it first or do you start immediately editing?
The way my mind works, I immediately start.
Okay.
I immediately start with the first letter I see. I'm reading
Mhm.
it. I'm reading the introduction. I'm reading the title. I'm reading the chapter titles. I'm reading everything.
Mhm.
And as soon as I see a mistake, I do what I need to do to fix
Mhm.
it or communicate to the author that, hey, you don't need to use the word immensely when you mean immediately. Sometimes that is your computer will spell it for you.
Yes.
You have your spell checker on. They don't like the word you use, so they change it for you. And you may
Yeah.
not even realize that that's what happened.
Nope. I don't know how many books I went through before you brought it up to me. Like, hey, did you change Justin's name in this book, the spelling of it? And I'm like, no, it was always with a Y. And you were like, well, it was with an I in this one. I was like, ah, shit. So, nope. That is a
Yeah,
case of autocorrect and thank you, but no thank you.
right. And that's the thing that I do ask when a name is spelt in an unusual way.
Mhm.
Before I ask the author, I go through and I'll look, how many times have you spelled it this way?
Mhm.
If you spelled it that way several times, okay, that's how you mean for it to be spelled. But if you spell it this way, and then the next time you use it, you spell it this way, and then the next time you use it, you use this way, I'm going to send you a little note on text. I'm going to say, hey, how is it you want to spell this name?
Yeah. You've got 18 different versions.
Right. There's so many. My daughter's name is Rebecca.
Okay.
How would you think it's spelled?
Yeah.
I have seen it spelled so many ways.
Yeah. I
And
think.
everybody wants to spell it Rebecca. That is not it. It's Rebekah. So,
Oh, wow. Yet another different way.
well, there's both ways, or
Mhm.
can be used, and those are the two most popular ways to spell it.
Mhm.
So I will ask, hey, how are you wanting to spell this name? Because if it's a foreign name, foreign to us,
Mhm.
it could mean something you don't want it to mean if you have left out a letter or added a letter.
Mhm.
So I need to know where you going with this. What's the right spelling? Because you don't want someone to translate that as your name being toilet bowl or something. That's not what you want to do. I can see somebody reading
Yeah.
something in Spanish and going, "Why are they calling their character toilet?" That so you want to
Toilet brush.
find that out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I understand if you're busy and I can mark it and come back to it. And when you come back to me and say, okay, this is the right way to spell it. I want to spell Tina, Tyna.
Mhm.
Okay, fine. We'll spell it that way and I'll go on about it. And I'll go through and I'll change it in all the places I find it. Um, it's just
What?
sometimes I have to buckle down and say, hey, look, I need your help. I'm
Yeah.
editing it. I'm making it pretty. I'm making it where it's going to be published and it's going to look good and hopefully it's going to sell because it's written well, it's edited
Mhm.
well, and people want to read it. But you've got to help me help you sometimes.
Yeah. When does a document become too much?
What do you mean too much?
Like there's just so many edits that need to be done to the actual manuscript itself
It
where you're
depends
just like, I
on
need you to rewrite this.
it depends on how bad it is from the beginning. It
Mhm.
can be from the first page. I
Mhm.
gave one book 7 pages and I said, mm-mm, you've
Yeah.
got to do something with this. I don't have enough hours in the day to fix this.
Right, because in the end, you're not the one writing the book.
I'm the one
Authors are
writing
the
the book. That's
But
right. Now, I'm just going to get paid what you're going to
right,
get paid for it. And I
exactly.
did all the work.
Authors are the ones that are writing the book, and we
Mhm.
have an idea. And if we want it to sound put together, we should give you something that's really put together. Now, I
Right.
understand that it's not going to be perfect.
Yeah.
I use stuff like Grammarly, which is
Mhm.
very helpful because there's some things where I miss and I'm like, oh, that was fourth grade, my bad. Stuff that I'm too old. I don't remember, fourth grade English, but stuff that I don't realize that I missed, I use Grammarly and make sure that it gets fixed. But then there's sometimes where Grammarly, you have to make sure that Grammarly is actually checking the right stuff, because sometimes it'll try and change it. And it's like, nah, that's not what I'm trying to say here. So just be
And the
aware.
good thing about that is you can just click dismiss and
Yes,
it'll
you
go away
can.
and leave you alone.
Yes.
That's why I say pay attention in your English classes and pay attention in your spelling, because of the simple fact that Grammarly is a program written by a human.
Yes.
And
And I'm
it
a
is,
horrible speller.
and
It's
it's
terrible.
not gonna catch everything the same way I'm not going to catch everything. I will do my best. That's why while I'm editing, I have Grammarly on,
Mhm.
and whichever documentation I'm working in, whether that's Word, Google, whatever, I look up there and I click on the spelling and grammar check.
Yeah.
And when I get to the end of the document, I will actually, as I'm reading, if I notice the same word spelled wrong over and over, because I know the thought process of, I know what it's supposed to say,
Hmm.
I may just start reading over it and it's wrong. So I
Right.
open up another document and I put in there the words that are spelled wrong, that I've noticed over and over. Then at the end of the document, I do a search, make sure they're all spelled right. And I spell it wrong when I put in the document because that's what I need to look for.
Right.
So I will go back, I will run a search for that.
Hmm.
I will turn Grammarly off and I will go through the document with the grammar and spelling checker in the program.
Yeah.
And it'll just kind of glide through there. And if there's something I missed or didn't, or Grammarly didn't catch, sometimes this will pick it up.
Hmm.
It's a backup because I am human and I am going to miss something. I mean, I put
Hmm.
a meme up on my editor's wall a few days ago or several days ago that said, congratulations to the mistakes that made it through 3 edits.
Yes.
Because
That was a funny one.
they just slide behind other words until your eyes go by and then they just slide
Yes.
back in. I know that's what they're doing. They have to be.
Yeah. They're
So
standing back there going, oh, she don't see me.
I'm going to hide over here and look like this. And then when she doesn't see me, I'm going to slide back over here.
Right. I'll stand my ground. But yeah,
Right.
them little buggers they're shifty. But,
Yeah. And, later on that can be corrected, but I do want to put out the best I can because I want
mhm.
my editors, my writers to be successful. And
Yeah.
that depends on me as well as them.
And that's what it all boils down to is,
Mhm.
editing is not, they're not your bad guy. Your editor is, so that should be your best friend.
Maybe not, um, but at least someone you can get along with.
Yeah. And
I have authors that I can go round and round with, and by the end of the conversation, we're buddies again.
yeah.
I have ones that I can tell them something's wrong, and they won't speak to me. I'm sorry that I was trying
Okay.
to help you there, buddy,
I am
but
not one of those. I'm a good girl.
yeah, I
I'm
know
like, hey, whatever needs
you
to
take
happen, happen.
direction well. A lot of people do.
Yes.
A lot of people don't.
Hmm.
But I've learned with some authors, you just have to speak through their voice and let it be what it is.
Yeah. And sometimes you gotta put up that, hey, we tried.
You want to do it this way, we'll try it that way.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work, we'll try something else.
Yeah.
And
So
sometimes that's all you can do.
do you do only American authors, or do you have some from all over around the world?
I do from whoever submits, whether
Hmm.
it's through Angry Eagle Publishing or whether they come to me in a direct message. I have helped people from Africa. I have edited for a lady from, I believe it was either Norway or Sweden. I have helped
That's
a
so cool.
woman. Well, I did a book for a lady in England, and the next book I'm going to be editing is a gentleman from England.
Hmm.
So, and a lot of times it's about this time of day when our schedules sync up enough where we can talk.
Yeah.
And I do not mind send me an email overnight, because after a certain time of night, I'm not going to look at that text.
Yep.
I've got to sleep sometime.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
I'm not going to look at that text until the next morning. And if I don't answer you at night, please have patience. Like I said, I have to sleep, and I do have a family,
Hmm.
and
Well,
I take care of them.
yeah, and you do for sure. Um, what do you do when it comes to, because I know in British English and American English, they have added letters or taken away letters, or tire is not spelled the same, meaning wheel on a car. Do you just fix those, or do
No,
you
I
leave
leave it.
them?
I leave it. You can click in a lot of the documents that you use. You can click to use British English,
Oh,
and
okay.
usually it'll just go on over it as long
So
as
it'll
the
skim
word is
over it.
spelled correctly, right?
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, you can do that. There's a way to, as far as the English languages, there's a way to do that.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I was not aware of that. That is so cool. We'll
You
have
can
to
go in
talk
there and
after
choose
this.
that. Yeah.
But so what drove you, besides badly written books? I mean, I'm sure you've probably read a ton of them, and was just, because I know when I was growing up I read everything. And you're just like, that looks weird or sounds weird. So what clicked in your head, or when did you say, yeah, I want to be an editor?
I never said that. It was offered to me. There are times in
She
your
was
life
like,
when
I was thrown in here and locked away.
pretty much. I never said that, though. It is actually the perfect job for me,
Yeah.
because I am just a constant reader. I read the back of cleaning bottles if I have nothing to do. I read
Yeah.
the food jars. I read the back of the cereal box. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Um,
When you're
but
standing there eating at the counter or something, you shouldn't be in the kitchen, and you're just like looking for something to do. You read the back of whatever's out. That's, yeah.
I'm bored. I don't want to read the book I'm reading. I don't want to go over there and do that. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, hot sauce. Let's take a look at
Yeah.
that.
Well, I did always want to know what was in hot sauce.
But as far as
But
becoming an author, I mentioned on our last interview, I beta read for a wonderful author named Angela White.
mhm.
And she has a series of 20 odd books. I can't remember the exact count right now. And I have beta read every book.
Wow.
Yeah. And one day I was just going through, and I went into a site somewhere. I don't even know the name of the page. I don't even remember what I was looking at. And I just threw it out there. I said, hey, does anybody need a beta reader?
Hmm.
A gentleman contacted me. He said, yeah, I need one. I said, okay. And then he said, well, here's my publisher, and why don't you talk to her? And I was, okay, never talked to a publisher before, and it ended up being DJ Cooper. And I wound up being an editor. That's how it happened.
And not just an editor, the head of the editing department at.
That's right. Yeah,
She's not told you you're an
came as
editor to the stars.
that came as a shock when I was appointed the head of the department. I went,
Oh, okay, this is what we're doing.
okay.
I can barely tell my dog what to do.
And I enjoy it. I do. I enjoy reading the different books, the different
Mhm.
genres. and it's not all the same genre. You would think that the things that sell now are like zombie and apocalypse and things like that. While I do have books that are like that,
Mm-hmm.
all of them are not. I have sci-fi fiction. I have mystical magic books. I
Yeah.
have some zombie. I have some religious texts. I
Mm-hmm.
have thrillers, whodunits,
Yeah.
um, some murder mysteries. A lot of your whodunits and thrillers, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I have done a couple of romances. And I enjoy reading every one of them.
See, that's the one thing I can. It's funny because I know you and I talked about this the other day because I'm just starting with Angry Eagle to add editing to everything else that I do during the day because I apparently don't like to sleep. Um, but I had asked you about, what you don't like to edit and you hate smut books. And see, I love smut books.
I don't
But
mind the mention of it. I don't need to know the mechanics of it.
but that's part of the smut. You're missing it.
Yeah, I like the romances that go right to the door and then leave me out, and I can use my
But
imagination. I don't need to know
see,
what's going on behind the door.
and I'm sorry, I need the nitty gritty. I can't stand romances, but give me a smut book and I'll read it cover to cover.
Some people do. That's great.
Which is
Read
weird.
it. Read
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, that's you'll never have to worry about that from me. But and it's good to know that you're not a fan because then I was actually considering writing in the genre and then I was like, no, I'm okay.
Hey,
I
don't not write it because of me, because someone else will look at it for you.
and I know that, but it's like for me, it's just I don't know if I can. I don't know. I'll be sitting here getting all red faced, getting hot flashes, sitting here writing my book, and be like, "Oh my god, okay, I got to go find my husband."
Well, sometimes it leads to that.
Be like, "Come here, baby."
Come help me with this scene I'm
Yeah,
writing in the book.
tell me what you would do. Oh no, show me. As a matter of fact, but yeah, no, it's what is your favorite genre to actually read? Do you have a favorite genre? I should say.
If I were to take you and show you my bookshelf, my actual physical bookshelf in my house, you would go, the same person reads all of
All
this?
these.
I don't have a favorite. I
That's
have a
great.
favorite right now.
That's great.
I
It can
don't have,
change.
yes. And that's why I enjoy reading all the different books. I like some paranormal stuff. Some
Uh-huh.
of it is too scary for me. For a while, when I was in my 20s, I was a huge Anne Rice reader. Everything.
Okay.
I read everything.
Yeah.
And the main reason was because she's from Louisiana. I
Is
love
she?
to read authors from Louisiana. She's passed now, but she's a
Right.
Louisiana author, or at least she wrote about books set in Louisiana.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed reading that. Well, when I was in high school, I met Anne McCaffrey and V.C. Andrews.
Shut up. I know who VC is. I don't know who McCaffrey is.
Anne McCaffrey is a science fiction writer, and her universes are so amazing. And she writes like, I can bring to mind right now 3 different universes.
That's crazy.
She has the Dragon Riders of Pern series.
Okay.
She has one, I can't remember where this one's set, but it's the Kilishandra, I hope I'm saying that right, series. There are 3 books in that. And then there's one about a humanoid unicorn species. The main character's name is Acorna. And it's not like a human and a unicorn bred.
So it's not like a centaur.
No, no, this is actually, she's kind of humanoid, but she also has a horn. She she has hooves instead of fingers,
Oh, well,
and
that sucks.
it's
How does she
different.
write anything down?
Well, things are adapted for this race of being.
Oh, there's more than just one?
Yes, it's a whole race. It's part of the
Wow.
universe. So I mean, I read all this in high school.
Hmm.
I started with VC Andrews. I've read almost everything she's written. Then my daughter comes to me, Mom, I want to tell you about this great author. I'm like, who? Who are you talking about? VC Andrews. They took her books and they put them on TV, and it's so great. I went,
I already know
I'll
all
have to
about
look
that.
into that. And then she goes, You've already read these books, haven't you? I said, Yeah. Long
Yeah.
Same way my son comes up, he says, Mom, you got to listen to this guy sing. He is awesome. I said, Okay. So he puts on the music and I start singing along to it. And he goes, How do you know this? I said, You think Phil Collins is new?
They're funny.
Brings Marilyn Manson. And he's like, Listen to
Mom,
this song by Marilyn Manson. And I'm going,
I've seen him in
Green,
concert.
green, tornado,
Yes.
you know. And he goes, I said, He's not the first person that wrote this song.
My favorite is when they
Sang or
discover
covered this song.
my favorite is when they discover like Bon Jovi or Guns N' Roses and they're like, Mom, I'm like, I was there. I know. You ain't telling me something new. Get to the back of the line, kid.
Yeah. That's why we're Gen X. We've been there. You don't know what we
Been there,
know.
done that.
You don't
Exactly.
know what we've forgotten.
Because we don't kiss and tell. So there ain't no snitches in our group. So for people who want to get into editing, other than pay attention in English, what do you, because I know you and I are on a couple of the same pages and we both are like, Angry Eagle Publishing, Angry Eagle Publishing, Angry Eagle Publishing for your editing, because Angry Eagle Publishing does have a la carte. You don't have to use everything from AE if you don't want to, but although we do highly recommend it. um there's my 2 cents. But so we both kind of we go to war at who's going to post it first. But there's a lot of people on there that are that are like, hey, how do I get in? Or they're constantly looking for line editors, constantly looking for what do they call it? It starts with a D. The making sure everything flows. um God damn it, my brain just I Gen X brain fart, yay. Menopause brain fart, yay. But, the people who because there's a bunch of different types of editors, and we do a lot of everything.
Right.
We're not one or the other.
Well, I can tell you that I use the internet regularly in
Hmm.
editing. There are things that sometimes they just don't look right.
Hmm.
So I will look it up.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to look something up,
Oh,
because
I always
even
have
though
the dictionary right there.
yeah, and just because you're not sure, don't be afraid to look it up. Don't be afraid to ask questions from somebody else. Yeah, I would like to have all the books, but I can't have all the books. So why not help somebody out? I've
Yep.
made myself available to you. If it doesn't look right, just ask me. Worst thing I can tell you is that no, that's not right. You can do it this way.
Hmm.
Look it up on the internet. I've been looking at several articles for the one I'm writing right now, so I decided that do it yourself is going to be the best way to get this point across. I've
Yeah.
seen some good articles, but they haven't had everything that I'm wanting to say in them. And I don't want anybody to think I copied their article. If I put someone else's article on my page, I have
You
put
always cite
the
the
link.
reference.
I
Yeah.
put the link
Yeah.
and let you go there. I'll explain to you what it is. You go to the link and look at it. If you have questions, I'm available.
Yeah,
I
and
don't
there's
mind.
plenty of these articles on Wendy's Facebook page. It's Wendy Durison, editor.
Mhm.
And, you go there, add her, and I'm telling you, it's a wealth of information. I didn't know that before and after ellipses, you use a space.
Mhm.
See, learn something new every
Now
day.
tell people what an ellipsis is.
Oh, yeah, that's a Gen X ... that everybody thinks where we're being an asshole, other than when we do this
Mhm.
or when we, put a period at the end of our sentences.
Yeah, a period means I'm done.
I'm
A
done.
dot, dot, dot means I might come back to it.
There might be more, and there probably is with me because I use ellipses all the time.
That's right, because I'm going to think about it and I'm going to come back and go, and another thing.
And it might be hours later, but you're going to hear it.
You're going to hear everything I have to say about that.
Yes, you are.
Another thing about editing is read a lot of different things.
Mhm.
Don't try to edit just what you like. Stretch your mind, stretch your imagination, stretch your vocabulary. You can be an English major. You can have a diploma on the wall. But are you smart or are you book smart?
Yeah.
Because sometimes you have to have street smarts with
Mhm.
what you're reading, depending on how the author is writing. Sometimes you have to have book smarts because of what the author is writing. I don't have a degree, a college degree. I have a high school degree. I didn't like college. I
Well,
left and I
college
didn't.
is for people who like debt.
Well, I was fortunate enough that I didn't have to go into debt. My parents were able to pay for it.
That is fortunate.
And I was fortunate in that. But when I figured out I didn't like it, I told my parents, I don't like doing this. I don't like this. I don't like the way college is set up.
Yeah.
I don't like that I've already learned this in high school.
Yep.
I'm
And they're
not
just
stupid.
reteaching it. Yes.
Right. I'm not stupid. I already know this, and I don't want you to pay money for me to go through high school again.
Right.
So I don't have a degree. What I have is a vast experience of reading and the ability to retain and the intelligence to go look for what I don't know.
Yeah. And you know what? I think that says a lot because honestly, you can have all the degrees that you want to,
Mhm.
and you can still be an idiot. And we all know them. We all have worked with or worked at a place where the guy has the head guy has the degree or the requirements that
Mhm.
the company has set forth, but he is the biggest fucking moron on the planet.
That's
And
that's called an educated idiot.
yes.
They've gone through the school, they've got the paper to show it,
Mhm.
but they have no real life experience in what they're doing. My
No.
husband worked for a timber company. My husband's boots on the ground in the woods, snakes, alligators,
Mhm.
hornet nests, whatever.
Everything that the good old
Everything,
bayou could offer.
everything except Bigfoot.
Yeah,
Um,
that
and
you're aware of.
and they would, well, if he did, he didn't say anything about it. And the people they would put over them as supervisors, bosses, on up the chain of command, they would have these pieces of paper, and this is how we need to do this, and this is how
Mhm.
you should do that. And my husband, he would come home and say, that makes no sense. I said,
It's
that's
not a
because they
proven.
learned it from a book.
Yeah,
They
it's not
haven't
proven.
actually done it.
Yep. And that's,
So,
you can, and the thing is that anybody can learn from a book.
mhm,
Anybody can. And,
right.
anybody can look up, how to make sure your sentences are, but there's something that editors have where they can look at a sentence and be like, doesn't look right, and it change it and it flows so much better. And it always helps having a second or third or fourth pair of eyes on your work anyways.
Sure. Sure.
So
I have no problem with I give it back to you, you don't like it, you're going to have somebody else look at it. Okay.
yeah,
Maybe I missed
please
something.
do.
Maybe I
Yes.
didn't do something right. Maybe maybe you and I just don't click somehow. If you want
Mhm.
someone else to look at it, go ahead. I look at your manuscripts as being your baby.
Mhm.
You hand me your baby. You finally build up the trust. You hand me your baby to look at, to take care of.
Yep.
I go in and I give it a nose job.
Yeah.
You are going to be furious. You're going to say to me, why? What have you done? I try not to give your baby a nose job unless it
Mhm.
needs the nose job.
Yeah,
And I'll
your baby's nose was on the other side of its face. It needed it.
yeah, maybe your baby had 4 nostrils. Some of them had
Yeah.
to go. But I also talked to the editors about it. You get 2 edits from me through
Mhm.
Angry Eagle. I do it the first time. I make my notes, I make my recommendations, I make my comments. And then at the top, I'll put a little note or letter, depending on how new you are and what you
Mhm.
should know.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, okay, this, and this. If you have questions, let me know. Then I give it back to you. Say I'm working on one of your books. I give it back to you. You go through it and you look at everything and you're like, okay, wait.
Which I have never done.
You go, why did this change? Well, if you look over into the comments, I will tell you why I changed it
Mhm.
or why I'm suggesting it. I'm not just arbitrarily changing it.
Right.
I'm suggesting this change because of this. You could say the same thing better like this, and you can make it flow better like this. You have the option to make the changes or not.
You do. Although I have always just been I'm one of the weirdos that's like, I trust you. Do whatever needs to be done.
Right.
Because
But I want
I
you to have that option. The
yeah.
one thing I do ask is when I send it back to you, don't add more stuff in it because of the simple fact, or at least send me an email, Wendy, I meant to put this in here. Can you put it in there and make it work? Looking at it, I didn't put this in here and I need this part in the story. Hey,
Yeah.
fine. Tell me where to put it. I'll put it in. I'll edit it. I'll send it back to you.
Yep.
I get it the second time, go through, make all the changes, send it back to you. You send it back to me. It goes straight to the publisher.
Yeah.
I might look
Who
through it to make sure that all the mistakes were taken care of, that it's been done the best way it can, then it goes straight to the publisher.
yeah, she's
It,
who is awesome, by the way.
yes. And
Jay
she
Cooper.
eyeballs it as she's going through it. And she's found mistakes that I've left in there that I didn't realize I left in there. And I'm like, well,
Yep.
tell me, help me
Yeah.
get better.
Right.
You
And
know,
that woman, she's a busy girl, but she is amazing. She, runs Angry Eagle Publishing Company as a small press. She's a small business owner, woman. She's an amazing, amazing person. And she's an author and she's going to school and she teaches
yes.
classes. So she's a busy gal. She does stuff.
She's a very impressive person. When I grow
Mhm.
up, I want to be similar to her. I don't
Yeah.
want to be her, but I want to be
Yeah.
similar to her.
Yeah, that's what I always tell her when I grow up. I do want to be like you.
But she's amazing and she's very inspiring because of
Yes.
what she's done and some of the things she tried to do it on her own and she learned it the hard way.
Yeah.
That's why she offers when you submit or when you come onto the website, she offers a la carte
Yes.
because she wants you to do the best. She's already been there. She's already done that. This is the easiest. This is the way she found that's the best. She'll give you guidance. My opinion on that, if you're a new author, my opinion is that you should go to a traditional publisher first. Learn the business.
Mhm.
You know how to write the books. Learn the business. Learn the editing, the publishing, the book covers, this, and this. Then, once you know your business, then go and self-publish as much as you want to.
Yeah.
But first, you need to know what you're doing.
Yeah, what all is involved, and a lot of people don't understand. It's not just writing a book, having somebody else read it, mark off a few things, and then give it back to you. You adjust it, and then it goes off to the press. It's not how it works. There's a ton of other
Yeah.
steps in between there. You can go ahead and slap a couple pictures on the cover. That ain't gonna do it. Most people do judge a book by its cover.
They do.
I do. If you've got a shitty cover or your cover looks like it's from 1970s without even supposing to be from 1970s, I ain't reading your shit.
Right. If the book has nothing to do with that, with the 1970s,
Yeah,
why
there'd be
did you
no
do
no
that?
reason to have the cover look like it. So you need to have, and that's what um traditional publishers do. They make sure that the cover matches what's going on inside the book.
The
And if
cover needs to tell a
representative,
story without
yes,
telling the whole story. It needs to have
gives you a
kind of
glimpse.
show some elements of what's inside of it. Um, one of the ones we just published, I think it's already up, or one of the ones I just got through with.
Mhm.
I do the editing as far as the publishing, pricing, things like that. I don't know anything about that. I will
Right.
direct you to talk to DJ because she obviously knows more about it than I do. But this lady had her book was set in a medical clinic. No, no, not right now.
Doggies. Doggies are
She wants
good.
she wants on my lap.
Yeah.
Um,
Mine are usually in my face asking for treats. They're
she
not.
uh she said her story is in a medical clinic,
Mhm.
and there is a whole mystery that is this particular group of people blows the lid off of that nobody knew was going on.
Mhm.
And the cover of it, if I'm not mistaken, shows like a clinic or a building.
Mhm.
I don't remember exactly what it looks like, but it tells you a story enough that you're like, oh, what did what does that mean?
Yeah,
And you have to read the book.
like this.
Something like that. Yeah, who's
Yeah.
she shooting at?
Yeah, you see some broad here holding a gun and things are blowing up in the background, and this is what DJ did for me. And
Right.
I cannot, I could never have, because I'm so easy with everything. She's like, okay, well, what do you want on your cover? I'm like, I don't know, blonde girl with a gun.
We
Okay, I got
we
you.
had
She goes,
one
I
author
got
who
you.
actually had some ideas of what he wanted on his cover, and he writes from a very different perspective than any other books that I've read, and I love reading them
Uh-huh.
because they're from this different perspective. And she did the books, and I looked at it and I went, that's perfect. That is
She
absolutely
just
that book.
has, she just has an eye for it.
She does.
And the cool thing, and it's, if you have a series, she sticks with the theme.
Right.
So, and it's very important that that you have someone that can do that.
Yeah, sometimes, I remember reading this book. This looks similar to that book. I
Hmm.
wonder if it's the same. And then they open it up, they're like, oh, yes. And then they go to the
Exactly.
register and they're like, okay, I got another book.
Yep.
Or even when they're looking through Amazon or Goodreads or whatever,
Yeah.
wherever they get their books, they see that the covers kind of match. So they know,
Yes. And
you know,
it sticks with with the series, and she does an amazing job.
she
I
really does.
I recommend her for everything, but some people are very, they're different. But if you are looking for editorial services, Wendy is who you want.
I would love to look at it. DM me. If you can't find my editor page, find my personal page. Tell me what you want me to know.
And you
I'll
can
send
always
you.
find her on
Yeah,
angryegopublishing.com as well, which
exactly.
is where you'll find all, and DJ made it super simple where um you want to know how traditional publishing works. She tells you
Right.
exactly what to expect. She even tells you, if you're just choosing a la carte things, how much everything is going to, she's not going to sit here and be like, oh, well, it depends. No, she's going to tell you. The only thing she can give you an estimate on a cover, but that's something that you're not going to be able to just put a price out there for. But
Right.
you
There are
can,
things you can price, and then there are
right.
things you have to say, okay, it's going to start at this, and it's going to depend on what you put on it, what you take off.
Yes,
all of those
exactly.
things. Yeah.
And, so I highly recommend anyone who is looking into editorial services to definitely check out Angry Eagle Publishing. You'll get either me, Wendy, or DJ. One of the three of us will be dealing with
Exactly.
with your papers.
You're going to get the best we can give.
Yep.
And DJ works very, very closely, and she works very, very hard to make sure you get what you're paying for, and she's right up front with you.
Yeah, she is.
She tells you what you're going to pay for.
And she's never like, I don't know why you're asking me that question. I've asked her the same question 2 or 3 times, and she's given me the same pleasant answer 2 or 3 times. And I'm like, I just realized I asked you that for like the 6th time. I am so sorry. And she's like, nah, whatever.
Sometimes other things are going on and it gets lost in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
That happens.
Yep. She's really easy. But, Wendy is definitely somebody that you want looking over your work because she makes me look good.
I try very hard. I try to make all of you look excellent. I want your book to sell.
Yeah.
I want people to know how great of the stories are that you authors are telling, because they're so. I get to the book and I see the author's name if I know them, like you or some of the others, and I say, okay, what's she got for me this time? Yeah. When I open that document, I'm so excited and I'm ready to get into this world and see where we're going and see what we're doing. A couple of books ago, I was getting closer to the end and I was dragging my feet finishing the book
because you don't want it to be done.
And also I didn't want the main character to get in trouble or to be captured or to be tortured.
And you didn't want to know.
I was afraid that the next line was going to tell me that, and I didn't want to know. And that's how into the books I get. And sometimes I have to make myself stop and back up.
Yeah.
A page or two and go back and go, okay, did I catch this or was I too busy reading?
You get just as invested in it as authors do.
Right. And that's why I want all of you to do well. I want your books on bookshelves. I want your books on Amazon flying out. Yeah. I want, we do Word Peddler. I edit Word Peddler too. I want your book in Word Peddler. I want people reading Word Peddler and seeing the books, seeing the authors, seeing the different things. And the books in there are not necessarily only Angry Eagle books.
No, they're not. You got short stories from all sorts of people.
Right. We get short stories. People will put their books in the magazine and advertise them. I'm still begging for short stories. And it's not because we don't have any. We want a selection. That way, if for whatever reason, say she goes with a theme for Halloween, we want enough Halloween type stories to put in that magazine and make it the Halloween issue.
Yes.
If she decides, okay, we have a bunch of short stories about mystical creatures. Okay, let's go pick through here and find what we want. Or we just put out a magazine that's got a little of this, a little of that in it. We want a lot of them, so we have a lot to choose from.
Right.
I mean, I even have 1 or 2.
See? You are dipping your toes in.
I'm dipping my toes into a little bit of everything lately.
Yeah, that's awesome. I can't wait to read. So
I've already got one of the magazines. You'll just have to go back through the magazines and find it.
I am gonna have to, because I think I missed 1 or 2 issues. I'm pretty sure. But I want to buy them off of, because you can buy them on Amazon. You can buy them in the paper, or you can buy them on Kindle, right? Or is it just Kindle? I'll have to look.
I'm actually not sure. I would have to go back and look. It seems like you can, but I'm really not sure.
Word Pedal. I'm pretty sure Word Peddler magazine is in paperback form as well. So, because if I remember correctly, Jack bought one. But definitely check us out. Check out Angry Eagle. Check out Word Peddler magazine on Amazon. Um, if you're someone who's looking for service, you're looking for maybe some kind of way that you can help, just go to angryeaglepublishing.com. Wendy is always open for editorial papers, and
And it's not just books.
it's
I do
no.
college papers. I do a lot of different things. So it's not just books. I can do a lot of things, and I do try to help young authors
Mhm.
get an idea of where they need to go. And
Get
I
the
love
toes wet.
working with them. Yes, yes,
Those are the future writers. We have
that's
to
right.
protect them at all costs.
Yes, yes. Because what are we going to read if we don't have new books?
I know, when the apocalypse does happen, what do we got? Same old crap from, Dean Koontz and Stephen King. I've read enough. I'm
Yeah,
good.
we need some canning
We
books.
need some new stuff. So this is the Book Asylum. I am JL Falk. This is Wendy Durison. We thank you for being with us. And you guys all have a great day. Don't forget to check out Angry Eagle.